I'm making a French classic, coq au vin. It's a chicken dish where red wine plays an important role in the color and the flavor of the dish. It's even more delicious during those cold winter nights, served with some creamy mashed potatoes or some crusty bread. Perfect as a weekend dinner with friends. I'm going to start with a wine-based sauce. Pour the wine into a saucepan and add the chopped carrot, celery, onion, the crushed garlic, bay leaf, and thyme. Bring to the boil and reduce it by half. By reducing the wine, you allow the flavors to intensify, and it also leaves you with a more richer sauce. Next, strain the sauce and discard the flavorings. Keep it aside for later. Now, heat the butter over a medium heat in a large heavy based pan with a lid, and then fry off the bacon bits. Cook until golden and slightly crispy. When the bacon is fried, it releases a lot of fat that's full of flavor. And I'm going to use the same pan to brown the chicken. It actually leaves you with a crisper skin, and that bacon flavor also infuses into the chicken. Now lift out the bacon bits using a slotted spoon and put it aside until later. Now for today's tip. I'm going to show you how to dissect a chicken. Now I prefer to buy a whole chicken and then to cut it up into portions. You can then use those various portions for different recipes, but the greatest thing is you're left with fresh chicken bones and offcuts that you can use for a fresh stock. But firstly, place the chicken onto a well-secured cutting board and cut off any excess meat, skin and fat. Now pull out the chicken wings and cut through the first joint away from the chicken breast. Using a sharp knife, cut through the skin between the legs and the breast of the chicken. Pull the legs away from the chicken to the point where the top of the thighs meet the chicken's body. Then cut through to remove the legs. Feel for the joint between the thighs and drumsticks and push the knife through it. Now you should have 2 drumsticks and 2 thighs. Carefully pull the skin away from the chicken breast and then take a sharp knife and cut each side of the breastbone and follow the shape of the chicken's carcass to cut off the 2 chicken breasts, finishing where the wings join the chicken. And you should have 2 boneless chicken breasts. Now to carry on with my coq au vin. Dip the chicken pieces into the flour to coat it evenly. And using the same pan that you used for the bacon, brown the chicken on both sides. Now sealing the chicken properly on both sides always gives a great color and flavor to the end dish. Once the chicken has browned, remove and set it aside. Right, now moving on. Turn down the heat and then add the onions. Cook for about 10 minutes while turning occasionally until they begin to caramelize. After 10 minutes, add the mushrooms, the garlic, and cook for a further 4 minutes. When it's browned and cooked, take the mushroom mix out and set it aside. Now we want the mushrooms and the onions to have a lovely, nice caramelized texture, but I also don't want the mushrooms to be overcooked. So I'll add them in just before I serve. Now using the same pan, pour a little of the reduced wine into the pan and scrape the bits off the bottom using a wooden spoon. Now this is called deglazing, and what it does is it gets all those little crusty morsels off the bottom of the pan and into your sauce. Next, place the chicken and half of the bacon back into the pan. Pour over the brandy and carefully set it alight. Then, when the flames have gone out, add the rest of the wine and the thyme leaves. Remember, when cooking with alcohol, through the cooking process, all the alcohol will evaporate, but that lovely flavor will stay. Now bring this to the boil, turn down the heat, and cover the pot with a lid. Then, leave to gently simmer for an hour. Now to finish off this lovely dish. After it has simmered for an hour, add the mushroom and onion mix. And simmer for a further 10 minutes while keeping the lid only half on this time. Keeping the lid on only halfway allows for that extra sauce to evaporate and leaves you with a nice thick sauce that beautifully coats the chicken. Taste for seasoning and add some salt, pepper. Now add the rest of the cooked bacon bits to use as a garnish. Remove when done. Right, I'm ready to serve this delicious cockabah. You can either serve with fluffy mashed potatoes or some warm crusty bread. Both soak up the delicious sauce. A good accompaniment would be steamed broccoli stems with some toasted sesame seeds. Now that's a dish that needs a really good glass of wine.